Welcome to Bed and Butter, the hospitality podcast, designed exclusively for budding students and aspiring industry leaders. We're thrilled to embark on this exciting journey with you. Each episode, we'll delve into the heart of hospitality industry with your host, Sean Riley, uncovering invaluable insights, trends, and strategies to not only succeed, but thrive in this dynamic field. The podcast is produced in collaboration with Southern Maine Community College. Listen to national leaders highlight opportunities for the active hospitality professional, students of SMCC's Culinary Arts program, as well as the L. Joe Van Wy School of Hospitality. This program is a labor of love, made possible with the help of the Communications and New Media Studies students. Whether you're sharpening your skills or stepping into the world of hospitality for the first time, Bed and Butter is your go-to resource. So let's dive in and spread the knowledge, one episode at a time.
Hey, listeners. Many of our podcasts discuss rising to the top of the hospitality business through hard work and taking care of business. Well, that is so true. But today's guest certainly has done it, but cautions us to take care of ourselves along the way. Virginia Blair is a general manager of a Hampton Inn who worked her way up from part-time night auditor to sales to general manager. However, personal struggles led her to look at herself and her career from a different perspective. We'll listen about her ups and downs and the positive changes in her life and career. So sit back, relax, and get inspired. Hi, Virginia.
Hey.
Well, I just want to let you know I really am glad you had some time to share some of your life with me and with our listeners. And you know, I do get excited because you and I started together probably over 15 years ago, and I think it's really neat that we can talk about things honestly and openly, and it's really great. So I appreciate you being here, not just for me, but for the people you might inspire in our audience, both young and not so young. And someone as young as you compared to me. And so thank you for being here, and I look forward to talking with you for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Thanks. So, you know, like I said, we have been together for a while, you know, and I still think of you as 20. That's when we first met.
It'll be 20 years this April.
Yeah. So you're I'll let other people do the math now then. You probably were 12. Yeah. So with our experience together, there's a lot of things I've learned, and you've had a career that's been, it's a really a successful career in the eyes of most. And like maybe you can just sort of we can dig into that a little bit. Not, you know, every shift you work, every job you did, every bed you made, which I'm sure you've done all of that stuff. But, you know, how did your career, let's do a speed dating event here and you just kind of talk about a little bit of each part of that career for a couple minutes.
So one thing I like to tell, because I was recently asked by a colleague about my start with Maine Course, was I was in college and I actually found an ad that was placed on a bulletin board in the college I was at here in Augusta, and ripped off it was one of those like rip off little flyers for a job. And one of my classmates was working overnights at a hotel and was like, oh, you know, that's, you know, hotel work. That can be a lot of fun. And you can actually, you have some time, you know, especially in the overnight to get some of your classwork done. So I responded to that. It was an Econo Lodge and started April 1st. So the joke's been on me for 20 years because it was literally just supposed to be a part-time job to get me through college. And I thought I was going to go into politics and decided to stay in a much more positive realm. And I've done all kinds of crazy things over the past 20 years. Helped manage an apartment complex while also working audit, breakfast, everything else. Eventually, that little Econo Lodge was completely torn down, and I watched that happen. I watched that get bulldozed and become a Hampton Inn. Worked at a Marriott during the interim, so got a little bit of Marriott experience in there. I'm a Hilton girl through and through. Became the front office manager of the New Hampton and eventually the operations manager. So did housekeeping and front desk. Did that when the apartment was sold. So I had a lot of free time open up. So I did that for a while, and then eventually became the GM of this location.
Well, that is a great career, and I think it's just begun. And I think a funny story is that I remember when you did a stint in sales,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
after a while you came up to me and said, "Sean, it shows what kind of person is Sean. I don't know. I don't think I like this, and you can let me go now if you want." And we said, "No, let's put you into operations. Look where it's led." So it was great that you came to that, but it was great that I saw a lot more value in you and just saying, "Okay, she's not a salesperson. Let her go." So it's funny how things turn around.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice to see the career growth like that. And I think actually you sit on a board with Hampton,
Yeah.
national board, and kind of an advisory committee. And
Yep.
that's been something, a nice step for you.
Yes, I've been doing that for 2 years. I love any opportunity I can get to connect with other GMs. That I need that a lot, and the friendships that I've made, and just, sometimes when you're trying something new, it's hard to know if you're doing the right thing, especially, recruiting, hiring, things like that. Have like another whole group of GMs that I can bounce things off from it's been a lot of fun, and kind of learning some of the new stuff coming to the industry before everybody else does has also been nice.
Well, and I won't make you squeal on Hampton. You don't tell all that stuff. But I think you represent the company you work for, but you also are doing something that's helpful to the brand. I mean, what is that? 5,000 Hamptons or something, or 3,500?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
There's a lot of Hamptons, and
There's a ton of us.
yeah.
Yes.
And so I think the fact that you can, step up and be a support for that brand is a great thing. So, your career is taking you this way, and it wasn't something you started out like you said, you're going to be a politician.
Yes. I wanted to go, went into liberal studies and wanted to go into politics. I do enjoy working with people. I wanted to help people. But as you know, and a lot of people know, it's a very toxic environment. And I found that I could be with people and a more positive experience doing what I'm, currently doing in hospitality. So I got my associate's degree in liberal studies and never looked back. I was not interested in, pursuing anything else once I really started seeing how much fun I could have doing this. And again, it was just making people happy is very important to me. And I can do that a lot easier in this realm than in the political realm. So yeah.
That's
Believe
great.
it or not, I wanted to go into politics. I don't know if I wanted to be a politician, but I was very interested in politics when I was
you can make an impact on people just in a different
right.
way. I think that's you really have made an impact on a lot of your associates and a lot of things. So speaking of impact, who in your life maybe has made an impact that you still remember? I mean, just a short little blurb about someone that impacted you.
So honestly, I mean, probably a lot of people say this, but I think on the hospitality side of things, it was definitely my mother. Because she would always say to us, and still to this day, to me and my brother and my sisters, is to be nice. So if we were going to a friend's house, or if we were having company over, or if I was talking about struggles I was having with a classmate or anything like that, it was always be nice, Virginia. And it's become kind of like I have t-shirts that say be nice, and it's just something that's just kind of followed with me all these years. It was very important to my mom that her kids were nice. And I think that it's definitely helped me in my career now. It's one thing when I'm training a new desk agent, I say, we can fix mistakes that might occur in the computer if you post something wrong or anything like that. But I can't take it back when, you're not nice to somebody. So it's always, it's been a big thing. And I say it to, a lot of my desk agents, my staff is, just be nice. It's very easy.
Well, that's not just important for the hotel business; it's in life.
Right.
So
Yes.
I think that's a great thing. Well, and it's nice that it's your mom. I think that's
Yeah.
especially when you tie mom into hospitality, and that really, and necessarily politics. Maybe they don't play nice.
Right. No.
You've reached a pretty high level of success in the hospitality business, right? From your night audit part-time and sales to operations, housekeeping to general manager and all. But what do you consider a success in your personal life? Let's get into personal life. What would you consider successful? You measure success. What would you see it as for you?
So I think having the balance, which has definitely come better for me in the past few years. And I think that, it's important to enjoy what you do. And I think for me, that has been, a great success is, even if for whatever reason it's my day off or I'm off and I, you know, have something for work that comes up, it's not a negative for me. It's a positive because I love, where I work. I love my coworkers. They're all my fellow managers, or we're all very, very close. And it just makes it a lot more enjoyable. If I'm on a vacation, I'm going back to work, I'm not stressed about it. So for me, it's just that I enjoy being able to enjoy what I do so that when I do have my personal time and something comes up, which it can, and this industry, the 24/7 industry, is that I enjoy it. And that's how I know I've definitely made the right choice 20 years ago.
Well, and I think you have to make that right decision every day. It's not just one time you made
Right.
it 20 years ago. You have to reevaluate that and help it. So what would a success habit be for you? If you say, what's your life? What makes you successful in your job? What kind of habits have you created for yourself?
So I make a point to connect with a lot of my staff on a personal level, which I think, is tough sometimes with, we're in this manager role. I think everybody wants to, there you can toe the line between professionalism and just kind of knowing your staff and knowing them again on a personal level so that if something comes up with them, you're not blindsided. So I think that that's, they all can come and talk to me and feel comfortable with me. Sometimes I might get some stories that about medical issues and things like that, that might be too much, but I think that it's helped me, when if you know your staff on a personal level, it makes them more apt to want to do good and be good. And they know that you truly care about them. That's been very successful for me here. The very, very close knit group. We call each other family. I think that that is definitely one of my biggest successes if somebody asks me. And I think a lot of that, again, has to do with that I am personally engaging with each of my employees every week, making sure I connect with all of them, even my auditor. I make a point to see that was very important to make sure that I'm connecting with my auditor every week and just, asking her about her granddaughter and things like that, rather than just, how was the New Year's Eve audit for you? It's more, how was your granddaughter's gymnastics tournament, things like that.
So in other words, your mother's right again.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It goes into everything.
Well, that's great. So, you mentioned in this business, it's hard. It's 24/7. You mentioned how difficult it can be, but how you've worked through it. But, I listen to you. I admire you as a person and a leader, but with that whole balancing the life thing comes up, I think that's something that I'd like to delve into a little bit more with you,
I,
because
I,
I heard you speak at a conference with a bunch of leaders,
mm,
and I was quite moved by it. And that's actually when I thought about inviting you. It's not because you don't have a great career and you're a great leader, but I think it's this other thing. Can you open up a little bit about that and share some of that
I,
story?
I can. So I was definitely and continue to be a little bit of a workaholic. And, for me to work 6-day weeks and, you know, a ton of hours, sometimes by choice, looking back on it now, wasn't, I don't want to scare anybody about the industry. It's just, this industry is great for people that love to work and work hard and work a lot. And during COVID, when, everything happened, we temporarily halted to operations, and, a lot of the staff was laid off. And then we reopened to operations, and, part of the staff was still laid off, and we were guest facing, and it was harder to navigate the whole being nice when you have limited amenities that you can offer, and you kind of have to keep your distance. And I'm a very huggy, like lots of people around me at all times. And a lot of the time I was working alone, or we were slow and there wasn't a lot going on. And it was an extremely stressful time for me and for everybody. But for me, I actually, experienced some physical problems that occurred during that stress. So I developed hives, which I talked to you about. I thought it was allergies. I didn't believe, when doctors were telling me, like, they tried steroids and antihistamines and all kinds of stuff. And they were finally like, what's going on in your life? And I'm thinking, why do they keep asking me? Why do they keep asking me like this? Like this is almost like a mental thing that I'm, eventually it's stress hives that I had for 8 months almost. And I, talked to doctors, and a lot of the hours and time and stress that I put myself through, the prior 15 years didn't necessarily give me the tools I needed to deal with the COVID stress. So I have definitely reevaluated how I do things and how much I work. And now I'm trying to teach others. I have some employees here that are very similar to how I used to be, and to take time, because you don't know if the next COVID's around the corner. And, I've have established a lot of different things here at our hotel to make sure that I am able to take my time and separate from work, because, work until you're, I'll sleep when I'm dead type mentality is definitely not something that we should have been practicing. That was practiced for a long time. It's something that, was definitely raised into me. My grandmother was very much like that. And, it's not what the younger generations want. And it's not what I want for myself or my staff. So that's kind of the story of.
That was quite a story that you did share. And I know in the organization of 50 people and leaders, senior leaders, it hit to the heart of a lot of people. It's not an easy thing that you went through, but it doesn't mean any one of us couldn't be going through that. And I do want to tell you, this past week I bought the CALM
Yeah.
app.
Yeah.
Now, I had the free version. It was a couple songs, but this was the full fledged. And I'm into regular 10-minute things. I can do it in my office. I can do it in my car. When it says close your eyes, I don't do that one in my car. I don't close my eyes on my car. But I think the message I heard from you was not that we're all different, and that we have to find a way to make ourselves well.
Right.
And Sean was one of those people that you talked about, and some things in my life had changed, grandkids for one, and making changes in my personal life based on those things, and taking time for myself. And I think yours kind of reinvigorated. Now, I think, why don't you share a little bit about the steps you took to improve that yourself?
For myself, I became more open, just like you said about the Calm app, is I became more open to things that might help me manage my stress better, whether it be exercise. For me, it was eventually yoga and breathing exercises, which I was always very close to those types of things, and always just seemed kind of woo-woo to me. And I've just, it was all about opening myself up to trying those things, because I do feel my anxiety being a little bit different since COVID, and it has helped me immensely to try that. So I had some, ups and downs, but eventually I landed on yoga and meditation, which again, I was very close to. I was not somebody that wanted to do that. And my work life, it was making sure that I took my days off. and, not stopped in if I didn't need to. And, I set up on-call days for my managers, which we never had before. If somebody was being called, it was typically myself. And then I just kind of watched to make sure that my FOM wasn't taking all those calls. And I tried to spread, what was working for me with others, like, hey, you should try this, or you should look into this, just to try and help them as well, because, we're all in the same industry and we are all dealing with the same types of issues. So for me, it was just knowing that I needed something to release some of the anxiety rather than just tucking it away until, something hugely stressful happened. And then, how am I going to deal with it then? So it was a long journey, but like I said, I eventually found something that worked for me.
Well, I think you were an inspiration to me, and I know maybe, I've spent some time trying to inspire you and help you grow and all, but I think you've done that for me as well. That I too am doing some forms of meditation. Well, I don't have to do medication.
Right.
And I think
Right.
part of it, I'm a squirrel. I'm like, here, I'm there. And that kind of brings me back into it and say, okay, just focus on your breathing, or just focus on this. Now, if any of my football buddies, my workout buddies, any of that stuff, and I know what you're saying, that was me as woohoo. And that was me. As I just laugh at people like me now. But what I've realized is that by taking care of myself, maybe I'm a better leader. I'm a better person, a better family person, a better coworker. And it's not all because of you. I mean, I've started that process, but this kind of brought it to the head. And so, I think, Virginia, we've haven't got too much time, but so then you open up to everybody at this meeting. And then you said, you know what? And it's a surprise to me. I think we should do something like that about this in the company. So then I'm like, oh my God. And then I started listening. I got to meditate now because what's she going to say? But I think your openness to say, let's find out what people need. Let's talk to people. You sent out a survey. You tried to find out what people think is important. It wasn't you saying, okay, everybody, we're going to have meditation every day at 10 o'clock.
Make this important to you. It's just getting them to open up to other things that we could be doing. Because like you had said, you're everywhere. And that's the hotel industry. That's our industry. You don't know what's going to happen at one of your hotels when you get up in the morning, just like I don't know what might happen here. We don't have like a set routine that we can really get into. So it's probably even more important for us to kind of make sure that we force in almost. I feel like I'm forcing myself on some GMs. I think probably 80% of them were open to it and excited about it. But it's just figuring out for us what's going to work and making sure that they're thinking about it, because it was something, like I said, I never thought about and until I needed it badly.
And I think that's a great point. And I think we've got to, as an industry, not just our people around in your team or people around in the Maine Course team, but in our industry, talk about those things, because it is a hard business, and not everybody's like you or me that can hold on till a certain point, but then at some point, any one of us can break. So this is just a way to do it. So you sent a survey out, and then a thing which a lot of people didn't even know, all kinds of services through our insurance program that a lot of people didn't even know we have for surveys,
which have been great for myself too. I actually. So we have a lot of benefits through Uprise Health, and there's the BetterHelp app that we actually have access to, which anybody has access to, but we get a little more benefits through our employer. I think a lot of employers are starting to offer programs like this. I just had never looked into it myself.
Could you say that word? What is it called again, so people could look at it?
BetterHelp app. So it's essentially a therapy app, but also has classes that you can sign up for. And, I kind of again, I've been researching some things because we have, properties that deal with all kinds of stressful situations. And I wanted to know how quickly can they access, a counseling session if they need it. And, that is a very accessible, very user-friendly app that people can use to either have a phone session or you can schedule live sessions to it, but I think it's mostly supposed to be video or text even. You can text a therapist that you find that's right for you. And, that's it's been a journey for me because I kind of stumbled upon a therapist, again, trying to see how quickly it was that I could get. Because right now it's very hard to schedule or find a therapist through, say, your health insurance. So I think it's great that Maine Course, we already have these tools available to us. So I'm just researching them so that if somebody has somebody that's struggling, they're like, oh, how do you use this? How do you do this? I might be able to assist them with getting themselves set up with that help.
So I think, one of the purpose of Maine Course, and I know probably for you too, is to positively impact lives. You've done that in me, and I think you should feel good about that. But I know you've done that for a lot of our leaders because of sharing your life and your issues that you had, and then how you've solved it. It's not like you just whined. You came up and said, I had these things. This is what I did, and this is how I've gotten better. So I think you should feel really good about that. But let's take it one step further. You got 1.5 minutes to tell the listeners, whether they be students, professionals, or people who are thinking about being in a profession, how they can navigate through hard work in their personal life. Ready, go.
I think it's important to, understand that it's okay to take time for yourself. I think there's always been a fear that it's going to, you won't get that next promotion because you have anxiety, or you needed to take a day just to, compartmentalize, whatever might have happened at work the day before. I would want them to understand that you need to take time for yourself if it's needed. Yes, you got to work hard and there's a lot of hours to be, making beds and things like that. But if you don't have to be at your location and you had, a stressful day, or even something happened in your personal life, you have got to know that it's okay to take a self-care moment for yourself. It doesn't mean that you are any less of a hard worker, or that, the industry is just not working for you. You have to work for it, and you have to, again, take that time for yourself.
Well, you did that in exactly 1.5 minutes. So if you knock on my door, Virginia, and it's closed, just know that I could be meditating. So just leave me alone for that 10 minutes. Because I'll do that during the day at this point. And if you hear the music, and it's not just it's not that kind of thing. It's stuff that really is relaxing, and I find I use it a lot. So thank you very much. And I think for our listeners, I think whether you're a student, I think the same thing can be for a student.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, whether it be a high school student, a college, whether it's our industry or some other industry, finding time to do that, you can make that work. I work a lot of hours. I've got 750 associates that rely on me, but I'm making time to take care of myself. And part of that's because of you. And I just want to thank you for myself, thank you for our company, but also thank you for our listeners, because I'm sure you've impacted some lives after what you said. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, listeners, and make sure you like us, and make sure you come back and listen to us again. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bed and Butter, the hospitality podcast produced in partnership with Southern Maine Community College. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so that you don't miss any episodes, and have a butterful day.